The very same sorcerer they hired to destroy you ended up feeling pity for you, because what they've done to you has no name. Day after day, they cast witchcraft against you. They closed your paths. They blocked your blessings. And the worst part? It came from your own blood. Yes, family. Relatives who can't stand to see you well. They want you ruined. Without love, without money, without work. They've said you don't deserve what you have. That everything just fell from the sky. But they have no idea how many nights you cried in silence. How much it's cost you to get here. The truth is, they're sick with envy. They go to witches, to tarot readers, holding photos of you, just to see you fall. But it won't work, because that same sorcerer they paid turned against them. He saw that you're not evil, you are light, so he decided to betray them. Yes, he took their money, but instead of using it to harm you, he bought sacred herbs and prepared an offering to break the curses they sent. Because even he realized you didn't deserve that level of hatred. He used the same money to help you. And he did it in secret, from the shadows, because his conscience could no longer let him sleep. Now, the universe, God's design, is on your side. Everything they tried to steal from you will be restored. Those who wanted to see you destroyed will have to swallow their own poison when they see you shine, because no witchcraft can stand against someone covered by heaven. But you have to do your part too. Don't let those envious ones get close again. Cleanse yourself. Protect yourself, because what's coming for you is big. Very big. The sorcerer knew what he was doing. This wasn't just any ritual. This time, he used all his power, all his knowledge, because something inside him knew you didn't deserve what they were doing to you. He waited for midnight, when the silence is heaviest and the spirits listen best. He lit black, white, and gold candles. He called on the ancient forces, the ones that never fail, and he spoke your name with respect. Every word that came from his mouth was like a knife, cutting the ties they had placed on you. The spiritual chains blocking your path began to break, one by one. Meanwhile, your enemies had no idea what was about to hit them. The sorcerer's ritual not only freed you, he also sent back all the venom they had sent you. Like a mirror, the evil rebounded. And it didn't return the same. It multiplied, because playing with the energy of someone anointed and blessed has a cost, and that price is high. That evil, disguised as concern. Those sweet words loaded with envy. All of it came back with force. And you, without fully understanding what was happening, started to feel it. That heaviness in your chest you'd almost gotten used to. It started to lift. The nights didn't feel so dark anymore. You slept better. You dreamed with light. And without even seeking it, doors that had been locked suddenly began to open. People who used to ignore you started reaching out. Projects that were stuck began to move again. Your smile returned. The one you had lost in the middle of so much betrayal. When the sorcerer saw that your light was returning, he knew his job was done. He said nothing. He asked for nothing. He simply walked away, like someone who knows they did the right thing. But before disappearing, he left one last blessing blown into the wind. May nothing and no one ever block you again. Now the destiny is in your hands. The road is open. But there's also a warning. Guard your energy. Be careful who you let in. Because even though you've been cleansed, those envious ones are still lurking. They don't want to see you happy. They can't stand your glow, but this time, you're not the same. You are no longer unprotected. And what used to break you now only makes you stronger. The universe has chosen you. Heaven backs you. Now is the time to move with purpose. And don't look back, because your light is real. and this time nothing and no one can put it out. Meanwhile, the witches started feeling uneasy. Something in their bodies wasn't right. They woke up exhausted, with unexplained pains, as if some invisible force was draining them from the inside. They didn't understand what was happening. But instead of backing off, their hatred grew more savage. They couldn't stand seeing you so strong, so alive. It burned them to see that after all the witchcraft, after so many attempts to destroy you, you were still walking with your head held high. Their rage became obvious. In their desperation, they began looking for signs. They wanted to know if their spells were working. They wrote to you as if nothing had happened. "Hey, how are you? Just checking in. I miss you, but you're not the same anymore." You don't fall for their traps dressed up as affection. You know very well that every sweet word they send is poison in disguise. They want one thing, to see you broken, defeated, dimmed. They're waiting for you to say, "I'm not doing well." They want to see you show weakness, but you don't give them that pleasure. Your replies are cold, brief, distant. You don't tell them anything. And that drives them even crazier. Because what really eats them alive is not just that you're doing well. It's that they can't control you anymore. They can't stand watching you move forward, shine, fulfill your purpose, without their permission. They wanted to control your destiny with their witchcraft, but now they're realizing your light is stronger than any curse, and that truth is destroying them. Meanwhile, the sorcerer, still in silence, continued to work in your favor. From his hidden corner, he continued to reinforce the spiritual shield he had placed over you, a field of protection that kept them far away, a barrier that reflected every attempt to harm you. Every candle he lit became one more wall of defense. Every prayer he whispered strengthened your aura, and they, without even knowing it, kept crashing over and over into that invisible wall. That's why they were unwell. That's why their bodies ached. Why their lives became stagnant. Why their relationships started falling apart. What they never imagined was that all that dark energy they had sent against you was now returning with force. They were reaping what they had sown, not by accident, not because of bad luck, but because of the cost of their envy, the result of their obsession. The evil they had sent with your name no longer belonged to you. Now it bore their name. And they were starting to feel it in their own flesh. But this is just the beginning. Because while they fall, you rise. While they writhe in the darkness they created, you walk firmly toward the light that heaven has prepared for you. There is no turning back. Write in the comments, "I will fight for my blessing." Because yes, that woman will fall. She will be removed from your path. And with her, every trace of dark energy that tried to attach itself to your life. A cycle ends. And with its end, a new one begins. One where you move forward with no burdens, no betrayal, no shadows disguised as love. You felt sadness. Yes. You felt a deep emptiness, an unshakable discomfort, because there is a romantic connection that never fully blossomed, even though you felt it deeply in your soul, and that has confused you, but it's not your fault. There have been external interferences, people who don't want to see you happy, people who send others to watch you, to gather information, to twist what you share and how you share it. Be very careful. Look around you. Not everyone who smiles at you wants the best for you. There is jealousy. There is gossip. There are lies in the air, floating like thick smoke. And among all that poison, there is one woman who stands out. She cannot stand your light, your peace, your progress. She hates watching you rise while her own life stays stuck. She talks about you. She judges you. She criticizes you. She suffers in silence every time she hears good news about you. But she hides it well, with sweet words, with fake hugs, Yet you can feel it, because your spirit doesn't lie. Your intuition is sharp. It knows. And the truth is this: her fall has already begun. You, on the other hand, you're about to bloom. What felt blocked is starting to move. This year won't just be different. This year will be yours. Your gifts will awaken. You'll uncover hidden talents. You'll begin to hear that inner voice you've been silencing for too long, and when you finally listen, nothing and no one will stop you. Divine justice is already on its way. Those who hurt you, who betrayed you, who played dirty, will receive what they sowed. Not out of vengeance, but because God is just. The universe holds no debt. What they did, what they said, what they wished for you, will return. And not just return, it will return multiplied. As for you, stay firm, make a wish. Now close your eyes. It doesn't matter how big it seems. Ask for it, because this time, it will be granted. And when it arrives, you'll understand why there was so much delay, so much struggle. It was all preparation for something greater. And about that envious woman, she will fall. Everything she's done in secret, the rituals, the evil intentions, the words drenched in malice, they will all fall with her, because she opened portals she cannot close, played with forces she doesn't control. And now her own game is turning against her. She used candles, she used your name, she used your pictures, she followed moon phases, she knelt at altars begging for your downfall. But she forgot one detail. You are protected. God watches over you. Saint Michael fights for you. And everything she wished for you, she will now face alone in the darkness she created for you. But that will now consume her instead. This woman wants you stuck, trapped, ruined. She watches your every step like a sick shadow. She checks your social media. She asks others about you. She performs spells without even knowing what she's messing with. She doesn't stop. She doesn't sleep. Her mind is obsessed with how to harm you. But all of that has consequences. And if lately you felt that someone special has pulled away, if that man you care about has grown cold, distant, strange, don't ignore it. That energy is also coming from her. She has worked to destroy your love life. She doesn't want you to be happy with anyone. She wants you to believe you're alone, to settle for less. But no, you deserve real love, pure love, present love, love that doesn't hide, and you will have it. Because the truth is, you are a blessed woman. You've always had the world at your feet, even when others tried to make you forget it. And no matter how many times they try to dim your light, God is always there, silently protecting you, pushing you forward when you feel you can't go on. That's why you're still standing. That's why you never gave up. And behind all of this, there's more. It's not just one person. There's a group of people who can't stand your position, your progress, your peace. They work together, feeding off each other with gossip, with envy, with toxic ideas. They watch what you say, what you post, what you achieve. But don't worry, because God has seen it all, and nothing escapes His justice. This is the moment. Share this message. Declare your blessings. Do it with faith, because every word you speak today will be sown in heaven. And if you do it within the next 10 seconds, get ready, because at midnight, something powerful is going to happen. Something that will break what's left of those dark works. Something that will be a clear sign that this time, everything is truly changing. Because this time, heaven is on your side. Because this time you won't give up. Because this time you will win. The sorcerer knew there was no turning back. He had seen how those women wouldn't stop. How day by day they intensified their hatred. digging in earth and fire just to see you fall. But he also knew you were ready. You weren't the same. You had transformed through pain, awakened through attack, and that's why he knew. The moment had come to close that cycle forever. That night, the sky was clear, but the air was heavy. It was as if the universe itself could feel that something great was about to take place. The sorcerer lit a sacred fire. Not just any flame, but one that only burns when the intention is pure, righteous, powerful. Into that flame he placed everything that had ever been used against you. Black candle remains, pieces of paper with your name, soil taken from cemeteries, and those twisted symbols written by hands that once desired your destruction. And as the fire burned, he spoke. His words were firm, without fear. He invoked divine justice, the energy of balance, and sealed with his voice a new covenant of protection over your life. Each candle he lit represented a door now opening for you. The door of love, of work, of health, of abundance, of spiritual peace. Everything they had shut down for you began to unlock. With every spark, with every wisp of smoke rising toward heaven. And in that very instant, on the other side, the women who had worked against you began to feel the impact of their own poison. What once flowed for them now became blocked. Their relationships turned cold. Their plans fell apart without reason. They slept poorly, fought with everyone, and felt despair clinging to their skin. But still, they couldn't let go of their obsession with you. They wanted to know more, to keep controlling your destiny, to spy on you, to believe they still had some power over you. What they didn't understand was that their obsession was no longer a weapon. It had become a curse, because every time they searched for something about you, all they saw was your progress. They saw you smile, saw you grow, and that became their true punishment. Knowing that while they sank, you kept shining. Because when someone plays with the energy of a blessed woman, there's always a price, and they were paying dearly. Meanwhile, you began to feel what once seemed impossible. Opportunities you thought were gone came back. That job offer you cried over when it fell through returned, but this time with better terms. People who had walked away from you for no clear reason, or because they had been manipulated, returned. But now with sincere words, with support, with real love. Even that project you had once abandoned because of doubt or lack of resources started to move again, as if some invisible force was now pushing it forward. There was hope. There was light. There were signs everywhere that a new cycle was embracing you. And even though you didn't know it yet, this was only the beginning. The sorcerer, seeing that his work had borne fruit, stepped back. He didn't ask for thanks. He didn't want recognition. He simply left you one last piece of wisdom, murmured to the wind like a sacred warning. Be grateful for every blessing you receive, but never lower your guard. Envy does not fade easily, and your greatest protection will always be your light, your faith, and your pure energy. And so, little by little, those envious women began to fall away from your life, not because they wanted to, but because they couldn't withstand their own darkness. Divine justice had already acted. Their lives became so tangled, so heavy, that they had no time or strength to keep obsessing over you. Their masks fell off. Their alliances broke. Their lies turned back on them. They didn't say it aloud, but they knew. You were untouchable. They couldn't compete with you. They couldn't handle your truth, your protection, your spiritual connection. And in the end, the only thing they were left with was emptiness. The very emptiness they once tried to sow in you. But you now had a clear path. You could move forward without fear, build what you've always dreamed of, and receive the blessings that had been held back for so long. And now, they were arriving. one after another, in magical, unexpected, perfect ways. As if the universe had simply been waiting for this moment to reward you for every tear, every injustice, every sleepless night. Your heart began to feel lighter. Your days filled with signs, with new people, with opportunities that made your soul vibrate. And deep within yourself, you knew it was all worth it. The pain was part of the rebirth. The betrayal was the test. And the reward is already on its way. Now you are different, stronger, wiser, awake. And no matter how hard they try to stop you, they can't reach you anymore. Because your path was cleansed with sacred fire, your soul sealed with divine protection, and your destiny written in light. The sorcerer, now fully attuned to your divine light, had surrendered his soul to your purpose. No longer merely a conduit between realms, he had become your spiritual sentinel on this earthly plane. That night, under stars that burned with unusual brilliance, he prepared his most sacred ritual, not with dark candles, nor with symbols, meant to undo fate. Just as the pieces were beginning to fall into place, just as you were learning to breathe again without dread, something stirred in the veil of darkness. The sorcerer felt it before anyone else. A dense, unsettling energy slipped through the hidden realms, like a serpent slinking back to a home it once believed was rightfully its own. It wasn't the same kind of evil. This one didn't come with candles or envy. It was older, darker. A remnant of something left behind. A contract never fully broken. A curse whispered too deep into the earth to be heard. Until now. The wind shifted. Dreams that had been peaceful turned foggy again. You felt it too. A strange weight behind. Your eyes, a quiet dread in the corners of your joy. You didn't know what it was, but your spirit warned you. Pray again. Light your candle. Stay alert. Because when your light rises too high, the shadows remember you. They come not because you're weak, but because they see how strong you've become. The sorcerer, in his sanctuary, stood still. He closed his eyes, and the air turned colder around him. He recognized this energy. Something unfinished. He whispered. This wasn't an attack from the women. They were already lost in their own chaos. This came from before them, a bloodline battle, an ancestral echo, a vow someone made generations ago that had never been broken. And now that your soul was shining so bright, it was time to end it. But that part of the story belongs to another ritual, one that will demand even more faith, even more fire, and a heart willing to face not just external enemies, but the inner shadows we all carry. Because yes, your angels are with you. The path is open. The blessings are arriving. But the final liberation, the one that frees not only you, but your bloodline, your children, your legacy, is still unfolding. So tonight, before you sleep, light that candle. Place your hand over your heart and say, what belongs to me by divine right can no longer be delayed. No curse can block it. No shadow can hide it. I walk in light. I walk in purpose. And I am ready, because you are. And what's coming next is not just protection. It's victory written in eternity. Something began to stir in the unseen. The sorcerer felt it first. A heavy energy slithered through the early morning, like a cold wind. Not from the weather, but from the underworld itself. He knew immediately. Someone was trying to break the sacred pact he had sealed with the angels. Someone desperate for your light was doing the impossible to try and reach you again. It was her, that woman who had always envied you. The one who swore she'd see you destroyed. She couldn't stand to see you happy. Every one of your blessings pierced her like knives. Her failed rituals had left her empty, defeated, but not surrendered. She wanted more. She wanted revenge. and in her desperation, she went further than she ever had before. She didn't go to just any altar. This time, she went deep into the darkest part of the forest, a place even sorcerers fear to step foot in. She brought a photo of you, an item of your clothing she'd gotten from someone close to you, and a twisted promise. Let her not sleep if I cry. Let her not breathe if I fall. Her hatred had no limits. She had crossed a line and she knew it. The sorcerer felt it in his bones, a disturbance, an imbalance. He stood up instantly, grabbed his tools, and without a second thought, lit the fire once again. But this time, it wasn't a ritual of peace. It was one of war. He invoked Archangel Michael with force, with urgency, sword in hand, shield raised. He could not allow them to touch what had taken so much to protect. While you slept, energies clashed above your roof. There were creaks in the walls, shadows that didn't enter but tried. Your angels fought in silence on your behalf, because this wasn't just another spell. It was a summons of death. They wanted to extinguish your light forever. But heaven did not remain still. Michael descended like lightning. His wings covered your house. His sword cut every dark tie they attempted to cast on your name. As the witch recited curses, he broke them one by one. The sorcerer, from his altar, bled from his hands, not from pain, but from surrender. He offered himself as a living shield, a vessel of war for your protection. When you woke, you didn't know it right away. But you felt it. Your heart beat harder. Your chest was warm. You had been in the middle of a spiritual war and came out untouched. Not by luck, but by divine intervention, by true protection. But on the other side, the price was high. The woman fell. Not physically, not yet. But her soul collapsed. Her face began to change. Her eyes turned dim and cloudy. What she had invoked turned against her. She began to hear voices, see shadows she could no longer control. What she had wanted to send to you now walked beside her, not as an ally, but as a punishment. And as she descended into madness, you began to notice strange, beautiful things. Butterflies entering your home for no reason, birds singing at your window each morning, lights flickering just when you were thinking something important. Clear signs from heaven. Confirmations that your protectors were more present than ever. The sorcerer, weakened but victorious, reached out to you from afar. And though he didn't speak, his thoughts arrived as whispers in your heart. Do not fear. She can no longer reach you, but protect your energy like gold. Because even though she's fallen, others may try to take her place. That same day, you began to notice certain people drifting away without reason. Conversations that once flowed suddenly stopped. Some stopped calling. Others acted strangely in your presence. But don't worry. That was cleansing. Masks were falling. By themselves. Because when your light rises to a new level, the shadows simply can't stand it. Still, the process wasn't easy. Your emotions were shaken. There were days you felt alone, even surrounded by blessing. Days when you questioned whether it was all real, whether you truly deserved so much. Because after so much pain, we get used to the suffering, and sometimes don't know how to receive peace. But you did. You accepted it. Doubtfully, yes, but bravely. Heaven noticed, and as a reward, it began to send you more. New people with clean souls began to appear. Job offers you never imagined knocked on your door. And love that once felt impossible, began to blossom with a sweetness that healed every old wound. Meanwhile, the woman who envied you, the one who used the night to curse you, could no longer sleep. The darkness she herself awakened stole her breath. And you, without doing anything but exist, had won. because your existence was your revenge. Your light was your shield, and your peace was the greatest defeat for those who wanted to see you broken. From his cave, the sorcerer lit one last candle, and with a tired but peaceful smile, he said, "A new era has begun for her. The war is over. Now it's her time to build in peace. And you, yes, you, the one who read this far, you must know this. You are protected. You are guided. And you are destined for great things. Do not look back. Do not question what was lost. What's coming is bigger, cleaner, holier. Because the pain you lived was real. But so is the glory that awaits you. And no one, absolutely no one, can steal what heaven has already signed with your name. After everything you had lived through, it finally seemed like you were going to catch a break. But there were still tests to face. Because when light begins to shine too brightly, some feel blinded. People who had never shown their true faces began revealing their envy, their discomfort, their resentment. What once looked like admiration now turned into bitter comments, empty stares, and fake smiles. But you had already changed. You were no longer the woman who got confused by appearances. Now you saw deeper. You felt stronger. You could sense, even from a distance, the kind of energy that only comes to confuse and distract. Your angels were still with you. They walked beside you, step by step, whispering in your ear. Trust. Don't let go. Just hold on a little longer, because I tell you this with all my soul. The best is still to come. The blessings that are on their way don't compare to anything you've experienced before. You're about to receive something you never spoke out loud, but that your heart had been crying for in silence for a long, long time. One night, as you slept deeply, one of your angels came to you. You felt it. It was like someone sitting gently at the edge of your bed, stroking your hair with tender hands. It wasn't a dream. It was a spiritual visitation. Your soul recognized it, even if your body couldn't move. And the angel whispered something very clearly. The day is coming when what was lost will be returned, and what was unjust will be made right. Don't be afraid. Just prepare. Since that night, your intuition became stronger. You could sense when someone was lying. You felt when someone was watching you with false intentions. You no longer needed evidence. You felt the vibrations. You heard the truth in the silences and in the spaces between words. And though that gave you peace, it also hurt. Because you started to see that some of the people you loved no longer had a place in your life. People close to you, even family, began to distance themselves. Not because you pushed them away, but because your light no longer gave them shade. Then came the hardest trials, not from outside, but from within. You started questioning whether you truly deserved so much love, so much abundance, so much divine protection, because the scars from the past still hurt. Because you had grown so used to rejection that peace now made you nervous. You asked yourself, is this real? Am I not fooling myself? But your guides were there, every single day, showing you tiny but holy signs, a butterfly fluttering in front of you, a coin you found on the ground, a song playing just when you needed it most. And one day, it happened. That day your angel had spoken about. Something shifted completely. A call came in. An unexpected opportunity appeared. A person who owed you something finally showed up to fulfill it. It was so magical, so precise, so divine that you couldn't explain it with logic. It was a gift from above, one that only comes to those who've endured storms with broken hearts but unshaken faith. That same day, on the other side, The woman who had wished you harm faced her final fall. Not a physical fall. An emotional and energetic collapse. Everything she had invoked came back to her like a tidal wave. People began turning their backs on her. Her health began to fade. The arrogance in her face was replaced by frustration. She realized she had lost, and worse. She understood that the more she tried to stop you, the higher you rose. Because every attack she launched was turned by heaven into fuel for your ascension. And that was the beginning of your true victory. You started to see everything aligning. New people entered your life with clean hearts and noble intentions. They didn't come to take, they came to give. Your home became peaceful. The energy felt lighter. You woke up without anxiety. You no longer had that tightness in your throat in the morning. You smiled without even noticing. You slept deeply. And love, that impossible love, then began to blossom. Naturally. Without drama. Without games. Without interference. Because when heaven decides it's your time, no witch, no curse, no enemy can block what belongs to you. From a distance, the sorcerer watched your transformation. He no longer needed to intervene. No more rituals were required. You had taken control. Your energy was aligned. Your soul was anchored in the divine. And that was more powerful than anything. One final night, your angels came to you in a dream. This time they were crystal clear. Now begins the stage of expansion.